Hello, families. Welcome to Curriculum Night. Thanks so much for joining me. My name is Mrs. Wordell, if we haven't had a chance to meet. And this is our agenda for tonight. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about my story, give you a snapshot of our team and our curriculum, and then a little bit about what to expect in middle school. Okay, my story, I started at the University of Michigan. Go Blue. I am a Wolverine. And then I was a science teacher for about 3 years. And then I just found my niche. I went back to school, got a master's degree in special ed, and started working in a resource room. I noticed that I really wanted to keep my kids all day. So I moved into an elementary cross-categorical program, then met a student, and that's actually where I met my student, George. I was working elementary at the time. It was my first student with autism. He was a kindergartner. And that kind of changed the trajectory of my career. I really found my passion. And back to school, got a post-bac kind of certificate or post-grad certificate in autism. And then I came to Rochester. So I have been at Van Hoosen actually in middle school for 9 years, and then I left. Some of you I met when I was the teacher consultant for the district for students with autism a couple of years ago. And then kind of going back to this whole slide with the heart, I miss the kids. I truly did. I missed my passion. I missed working with the kids every day. And so I called up Mr. Mooney, said, hey, can I go back? Can I come back home? And he graciously has let me come back. And I'm here with your kids every day doing exactly what I want to do. So in total, I've been teaching about 21 years. This is my 21st year. So I've been back at VH for 2 years. And that kind of leads me to my next slide. I always say this is a job that I get to do every day. It's not a got to job. I know a lot of, teachers burn out, they move on. But this is something I think I'll be doing for a very long time. The other part of my story is my family. These are my 2 middle schoolers, Oscar and Eva. So I'm middle school lifing it with you right now too. And my husband Gabe, we live in the community. And this is our dog Moses, and I bring him up because he is my 3rd baby, and I talk a lot about him to my students. So you might hear his name Mo, and he is the fluffy one of the group. Our team is here. It's outlined. We're lucky enough to have the best team, honestly, that I've ever worked with. And our parent support this year is Miss Eileen. You'll hear her name probably from your kids. We're kind of updating iPads right now. And Mrs. Bagley, she'll be in there too, especially for that elective support. They are truly my right hands. I don't think I could do this without them. And I've had them for a few days now. And they really do love your kids just like I do. A typical day, you've probably already seen this in their dot binders. So thank you for, taking a peek at their visual schedule, maybe referencing if you're in a pinch at home. Those binders go everywhere they go. So if you want to use that as a communication tool, you're more than welcome to. There's a lot of good stuff if you want to use the visuals at home, in a pinch. If you have an anxiety over a schedule change or something, there's a first then right there for you. Feel free to use. But the visual schedule is in there. If you want to know your student's unique one, just pull the tab. Inclusion, that's a huge part of our program. It happens every day. And I kind of listed all the ways you probably already know about, like the cafeteria, their elective classes, and everybody's there for something different. Some students are there for that content, but other students are there to practice those super important speech and social work kind of skills. But the last bullet I always kind of like to highlight a little bit, because those are the opportunities that aren't really line items on the IEP, but our students get at Van Hoosen anyways. In addition to what's on the IEPs. And those are the homeroom buddies that come in every day. Students that sign up for a week at a time, come in, play games with our students, do the Wii, build Legos. They really do come up with a genuine friendship for our students. And actually one came in this morning and asked if perhaps he was a volunteer last year and he missed one of the students over the summer and just said, hey, can I come in and hang out? And, absolutely, because that's genuine friendship. Excuse me. So our students will also have email buddies that they'll start to email, because that really is, for especially some of our students that struggle with verbal language. email and text is a way that they can communicate, especially into adulthood, and that's what we want to promote. Our anchors, school-wide jobs that we do. We go to some of our science classes when they do some fun hands-on experiments. A couple times a year, we usually hold a coffee shop too. So these are all those other things that are not necessarily listed on IEPs, but they're truly what makes Van Hoosen a special place. Okay, curriculum in our classrooms, these are actually identical to what you've had in elementary if you've come up, in Rochester. 4 blocks is something you probably heard about before. It comes out of the University of North Carolina. It's our literacy. It's more of a framework, less of a curriculum. But these are the nuts and bolts. So every day your student will have these 4 parts of their literacy instruction. Every day they're doing writer's workshop. Every day, depending on your student's level of need, they're doing either guided or shared reading. They're also doing some self-selected reading, which on their schedule we call DEAR time, and DEAR stands for drop everything and read. And that's where they get to choose some books and just interact with them. I understand some of our students are not readers yet, but we want to see them interacting with books, looking at pictures, moving pages. Maybe I have all kinds of different books. So they have board books, we have Velcro books, anything that's getting them to interact with print, because potentially that could be a leisure activity even for them as they move into adulthood. And the last part is probably one of my favorites, which is working with words, and that's learning sight words, taking sounds and making new words. They have letter boards that they're interacting with and building sounds as a group with every day. That's actually a really fun time. They all tend to like that one. The next one is our ULS program, which, as you know, is social studies and science. And one thing I like to highlight to parents is it alternates every month. So right now we're doing social studies. Next month we will do science. And again, we have the pre and the post test, which gives us some good data, especially related to comprehension, that we can share out at IEPs with you. And I try to make notes too in their daily binders on how well they do on their test, or their pre and their post test. Math is, as we transition into middle school, a big priority starts to be those functional math skills. So we have a balance of, this essential elements and kind of, following that benchmark, or those benchmarks, but also we're trying to balance that with their priority needs related to their IEPs. And those are typically some kind of functional math skills. We're looking at adulthood and can they use money? Do they understand quantity more or less? Do I have enough? Those kind of bigger ideas, that's where we're really hitting hard in middle school. And that might be kind of a shift that you see if especially you're a 6th grade parent. Life skills. Every day our students are doing life skills. It happens to be 6-hour this year, but it does change. We cook every week, which is probably one of the students' favorites. We also have something new this year, and it's called the Voc Lab, and Voc is like vocational lab. And what we're trying to do is build some more of those pre-employment skills for our students as they go up into high school. So things like we have a retail station in the Voc Lab. We have a food station, packing a grocery bag or giving them a list and saying, can you find these foods? There's an office station where they're having to find 3 things and put them in an envelope and seal the envelope. So it's a lot of following directions, working a system. There's a household, like a clothing station, where they're sorting by size, hanging things on hangers, matching socks, sorting laundry, things that hopefully even make your life easier at home. There's a language station where they're learning employment language, like, what is a timesheet? How do I fill that out? Things like that. Friday, of course, is their favorite, which is when they cash in their dollars that they earn throughout the week to get a paycheck, and they use their paycheck to purchase things that are important to them, like their movie tickets or their popcorn tickets or an extra computer ticket or an extra swing ticket. tying it back to something super functional. You know, if I stay green, if I'm in the green zone, if I show good positive behavior, I'm going to have a bigger paycheck, and there's some long-term reward, not just those short-term, you know, 5 or 10 money cards equaling, you know, 5 minutes of computer time or a gummy bear or whatever, you know, your student has chosen, but we're trying to start to work towards those longer term goals too. And that's the Friday math and life skills. Something to talk a little bit about is homework. My homework policy is you get this 1-page, really functional kind of homework. Every Monday, it comes back the next Monday, and it's completely optional, but I would say I moved away from packets over the year and kind of this busy work to go home. And it's not that sometimes that's not appropriate and important, but some of these skills as we move into adulthood and really think about, you know, what are our students going to need as they're starting to transition into that phase of their life. Those are things like life skills and reading and conversation skills. So I try to give some different kinds of activities I know sometimes I get stuck in a rut with my own kids, and I need some new, fresh ideas. And this is something that can maybe help with that. If you choose to not participate, what I would ask is everybody fill out the weekend report, because it's a huge part of our community meeting on Monday mornings. We talk to each other about their day, and we talk about how being a good friend, or I'm sorry, their weekend. We talk about how being a good friend means you ask your friends what they did over the weekend. So please, 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 if you can at least fill out the bottom weekend report and send it back every Monday, that'd be great. A couple other need to knows for middle school. We go to all school assemblies, yes. So if you see that in the Viking Weekly, that's something that we are doing. We do sometimes change classes. We have anchors activities, and those are outside school hours. You'll get permission slips for those, but they're coming. After school activities are fancy code word or code name for a dance after school is sponsored by student council, and our students are welcome to come. And we can kind of talk about what support might look like if you think that's something they would enjoy. Our big focus is just independence, independence, independence. Anything we can get them to do on their own. We're not, you know, getting their pencils out for them anymore. They need to get those out. They need to zip their backpack. They need to pack their backpacks. They need to put their own clothes on. They need to put their own deodorant on. These are huge pieces of growth that we want for them through middle school. You can partner with us by, you know, letting us know of any changes, med changes, sleep changes, anything you're noticing eating wise. The big thing is hormones, puberty. Don't be embarrassed to talk to me if there's a situation that comes up. I guarantee in 21 years, I've heard everything, maybe not everything, but close to everything. And I know sometimes it's embarrassing and it's hard to share, but I have so many resources. I've gone to so many good professional developments on research-based interventions for this time of life that I want to help you. I have lots of resources to share with you when these things come up. So please, please, please don't hesitate to ask. And sometimes it's easier to ask over writing, and that's okay, rather than a call. I completely understand. Just communication is huge. Reminders, use anything that works for you as far as, you know, getting in touch with me. If you can let me know when your student's absent through one of those ways, like a text or a remind or a call, an email, whatever works for you, in addition to the absent line, that's super helpful. That way I'm just not leaving staff in the back of the building waiting for a potential drop off. Like I talked about before, the Viking Weekly is really important to read because that's school-wide information. I'm going to give you the peek at the week email on Fridays for classroom information, but you really need to stay in tune to what's happening as a building too. Anchors is on Thursday. Consider maybe if you're typically buying lunch, maybe don't buy it on Thursdays, because then you get more time with your friends because you're not in line. And just another reminder, gym, they really do go outside. If your student's taking gym class, they're out there till the snow comes. So please send hats, gloves, fleece, whatever your student's comfortable in. They're going out. There's really only about 3 months a year that they don't go out. So just keep that in mind. Okay, that's all I have for you. If there's questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. I want to make this year a great one. So thanks for joining me.